Hi there, in this video you're going to learn about interpreting graphs with proportional relationships. Your objective for today is to learn how to interpret a point on a graph that shows a proportional relationship. Let's look at our first example. Our first example says that the graph shows the proportional relationship between the volume of water Christina uses to make the juice in liters, right? So that's X, and the number of scoops of juice mix she uses, Y. So the scoops is along the Y-axis, the liters is along the X-axis. We want to figure out what does a point 510 represent. So our first step that we want to do in trying to figure this out is we want to see what the x-coordinate represents. The x-coordinate, if you can recall, is the first number in the ordered pair, right? So 5 is our x-coordinate. So if we're going across 5, right, we're talking about 5 liters of water. Okay, so your x-coordinate represents 5 liters of water in this case. In step 2, we want to look to see what the y-coordinate represents. So the y-coordinate, you're going up 10, right? So that would represent 10 scoops. Now we have to make a general statement about the ordered pair itself. So we have 5 liters and 10 scoops. Let's figure out a general statement that we can say about this. So we can say there are 5 liters of water needed when using 10 scoops of mix. You can say for every 5 liters of water, you need 10 scoops of mix. You can say anything along those lines. Let's look at our next example. Next example says that the graph shows a proportional relationship between the weight in pounds of the pot roast, X, and the total cooking time in hours, Y. So down here in our X-axis, we're talking about pounds, and on our Y-axis, we're talking about the hours that it takes to cook. So step 1, we want to look to see what our x-coordinate represents. Our x-coordinate here represents 5. 5 what? 5 pounds. So our x-coordinate represents the 5 pounds of pot roast. Step 2, we want to look to see what the y-coordinate represents. So originally we saw the x-coordinate was 5. Now the y, we're going up 4. So the y-coordinate represents 4 hours. So let's try to think of a general statement that we can make with 5 pounds of pot roast in 4 hours. Well, a quick and easy general statement that you can make is if the pot roast is 5 pounds, you need to cook it for 4 hours. You can say that it takes 4 hours to cook 5 pounds of pot roast. You can make any kinds of general statement along those lines. And here is our last example. The graph shows a proportional relationship between the time in minutes Evan spends riding the train, that's along the x-axis, and the distance he travels in miles, that's along the y-axis. So we want to figure out what the point 96 represents. So 9 is our x-coordinate, right? So if we go across 9, that represents 9 minutes. Then we want to look to see what our y-coordinate represents. So if we go up for our y-coordinate, we're going up 6, so that represents 6 miles. Now we want to just make a general statement about the ordered pair. So it takes 9 minutes to travel 6 miles on the train. You could say something like that. You could say in 6 minutes you would have traveled 9 minutes, or you would have traveled, in 9 minutes you would have traveled 6 miles on the train. You could say something like that. Anything like that works along those lines as long as it has something similar to this. You need to make sure you have 9 minutes correct, and you need to make sure you have the 6 miles correct. All right, so some concluding thoughts. See what the x-coordinate represents, see what the y-coordinate represents, and then just make a general statement about the two. All right, I hope you learned how to interpret graphs with proportional relationships. Have a nice day.